Board of Selectmen meeting to order for Thursday, October 25th. All three selectmen are present, town administrator is present, recording secretary is present. Recording for the citizens is Mr. Leo Martell on video. Gentlemen, we have some minutes, we have two sets of minutes from the last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular minutes of the October 18th meeting as amended.
Thank you.
I'll second Bob's motion.
Any discussion on those minutes, gentlemen? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Good job, regular. I'll make a motion for them.
Oh, yes, sign that first, yep.
No motion yet,
No
right?
motion yet. Now you can make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes on October 18th, 2018 as amended.
And I'll second that.
Any discussion on those minutes? They will be sealed as per the last meeting.
Correct.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes have been sealed, have been voted upon. Okay, next order of business, we have public comment. We have a tape recorder, please state your name if you have any public comment input. I'll go around the room, myself, Leo.
No, thanks.
Anyone from the back row?
Nope.
Go ahead, sir.
Don Larson, 32 Birchview Drive. Just wanted to say on behalf of the Garden Club, we will have Halloween on the Commons on Wednesday night. We'll be setting up a tent at 9 AM Wednesday morning, so anybody wants to come volunteer and help set that up, why, it's always welcome. We'll have hot chocolate and cookies and stuff like that inside the tent. We'll have videos courtesy of the restoration project on the side of the town hall on the new paint job, so it should really stick out. And we'll be around most from 5 to 8, doing all that, and then we'll tear down Thursday morning.
So it's open to the public from 5 to 8?
5 to 8, yeah. And the church, I believe, is gonna have candy also, and there'll be other, the homes around here. So everyone is welcome. We'll have bales of hay and stuff like this, a couple of heaters, because I think we're gonna need it. And so people can sit and adults can let the kids run around.
Thank you. Open public comment, anything, Jeff? Chief? You're on the agenda, sir, and you're on the agenda, sir. Okay, I'm gonna close public comment, bring it back to the board, and the moderator, Renee, if you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. So we have the state election coming up on November 6th. I'm guessing that we'll do our normal routine of setting up on the 5th.
What time would you like to kick it off at 4?
4 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay.
4 o'clock works well for me, and it seems to have worked well all around.
It did?
There'll be no school on the 6th, so we'll have more room to spread out if needed.
Okay. Any issues? I know there's a controversy going on, but you're keeping tabs on that with the state, at the state level.
Yeah, and that's really more the supervisor's issue right now about how the documentation necessary for registering to vote.
Okay. Other than that, I don't think there's any issues, I don't think we have any.
Yeah.
Lean, have we reached out to the transfer station?
No, I
people?
usually wait till just the week before because it's easier to get someone to
So
commit.
next week we'll do that?
Yeah, I'll get it off to Woody and I'll make sure he.
Yeah, and also for disassembly afterwards too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's an expectation that the turnout will be heavier than normal for a state election. So having some extra help will be good.
Do you just dictate the roles? Should I be prepared to do the same role for vote counting as I did last time? I feel like I got trained last time.
It will depend on who is available.
Okay.
But it's helpful that we had that in a smaller election. We had that practice of tabulating.
I stand ready.
Okay.
Is that 2 people I'm looking for or 3?
2.
2 to set up.
It seemed to work pretty good last
Yeah.
time.
I think 2 is plenty. Because at the end, you usually have some volunteers, other people helping out too.
Yeah. And and at least the 4 of us will be there.
Right.
I should mention that Linda usually likes to come when I come to talk about the election, but she was not able to come tonight.
Understood. Okay.
The other thing I've got is, we've been talking for a while about, the,
Hardwick.
yeah, it's formally, it's called the rail. And, we need to have a barrier that separates the voting area and the ballot box area from the rest of the gym. Because there are rules about what can happen inside the rail and outside the rail. Our current rail, we've been using it for a long, long time. They are, standards or posts that are, made of plastic and a plastic chain. The chain, it's in smaller and smaller pieces, and there's a lot of pieces being held together right now with masking tape. I think it would look better and be easier to set up if we had something that was a little bit more durable. So, and we've discussed this before, but toward that end, I did some research on getting metal post, they call them stanchions, and a nylon tape, 2-inch nylon tape, that goes from stanchion to stanchion to create the rail. Looking at how these things are put together and how long the tapes are, I think that we would need a wall unit that starts the whole thing, and then 7 standards with the tapes that are on top of the stanchions. So I went online and I looked, trying to find the sweet spot between something that looked to be quality and would last a long time, and also a lower price. I found one that's or a set that's stainless steel with a black matte paint, so that they don't show smudgers or dirt particularly. The bases are about as heavy as I've found, so they'll be pretty
Stable.
yeah. And not only that, but the base, the bottom of the base is rubber, so it won't be hurting the floor.
Do we have copies of what you were?
Yeah, so I think.
Yep.
From this company, the total would be $537.
Total price?
Okay, I think-
That's the shipping.
Seems very reasonable.
Yeah. Do we wanna try to do it this year? I didn't realize it was gonna be this low.
Yeah, I think those were similar to the prices he had shown us earlier, so I'm willing to do it this year.
You know, we may have them in before the election.
I didn't check into how long
No,
it would
but
take.
I think shipping is usually less than a week, UPS ground.
If I call them tomorrow, we can make that attempt, I guess.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to have them available for them this election.
Yeah.
Might as well, there's no time like the present to put them into.
I can let you know if they,
Okay.
if I'm
That's
available.
good. I left the contact information on the top
That's
there.
perfect, yep.
Bob, comments?
No?
Do you have consensus, gentlemen?
I do we wanna make a motion? or-
I don't think we need a motion. Do we need a motion?
No,
I think we have consensus.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good with it.
Okay. We'll make it happen.
If you need any other information from me, feel free to give me a call.
All right, so we need one of these,
Yeah.
one of these,
No,
and then
oh, seven of those. That wasn't clear on that.
7,
Yeah.
1, and then
One wall unit and 7 standards.
here's the standards.
The stanchions are the post thing at the bottom.
Just,
7 of those and 1 of those. And I see you included the coupon for it too.
You got it right.
7 here, 1 of those.
Yep, that's it.
That's it? I thought there was a third item. So
No.
it's just a fold. Okay,
Yeah, the pole comes with the tape
okay.
and the base. We talked about bases or stands for the flags as well, and I haven't found any that I like yet.
Okay,
So
we'll just keep that, we'll just keep the progress looking.
Yeah.
Keep it, okay,
I'll keep looking.
very good.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see you, for sure on that Monday evening.
Great. Sounds good. Thank you
I'll
very
send you
much.
an email, just to make sure I'm ordering the right thing before I finalize it.
Okay,
Okay?
sounds good.
Thank you for coming in.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks.
Okay. Next on the agenda is is at 7:15, but we're gonna start the discussion. It's a public hearing to accept Purgatory Pond Road as a Class 5 road. And Dave, before we make the motion, you wanna go over some of the history?
Yeah, just reviewing previous meetings. Purgatory Pond Road in Dunbarton at the March 13th, 2012 meeting was approved to be a Class 5 dirt road if it was upgraded by the owner at the end of the road. And, there was some stipulations set aside at that meeting of the width of the road. And, I think we've reviewed all of the plans to date, and Jeff Crosby's reviewed it, and I think all of those things have been met at this point. I just went back through them now and reviewed the width of the road and the shoulder. And, I think everything's in accordance with that, so.
I made a site review, I thought the road looked fantastic. I was before the signs were put up, and Jeff, you gonna ascertain all the signs have been erected?
To be honest with you, I haven't been down
Okay.
to see if they're up.
I'll-
I would take Brian's word for it.
Brian, the signs are erected?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, next step is, at 7, what time again? I just wanna make sure we're legal.
7-11.
7:11.
A little early.
Yeah.
Just turn around. There you go.
What time was it?
7:15. We gotta go by the book. We're gonna wait 4 more minutes.
What do we,
Why don't we talk about the, we're gonna put that on hold, we just gotta go by the book.
That's fine.
Okay, because it is a public hearing and it's announced as such.
Sure.
So we have to allow the public to be here at 7:15. We're gonna do the acceptance of the, transfer station check.
I know I did what you did somewhere here at my meeting. I'll let you give me your copy of the agenda there and I'll read that.
Okay.
Okay. Per RSA 31:95-B, Roman numeral 3, paragraph B, we'd like to accept the amount of $360 for the sale of the transfer station cover system from St. Jean's Auction.
I'll second.
Okay. Jim, and is, rather than put in the general fund, if you recall, that was, money from the transfer station, and we wanted to make sure we had some dollars, in the budget for maybe a snowplow. I'd like to consider, returning the money to the transfer station budget, where it would help, fund the snowplow blade for the new truck.
I'm in consensus for that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
That'll give them, after the cost, the actual cost of the vehicle, under the state bid, there's actually like, this money plus the remainder of that warrant article will come up to $1,000, so there'll be $1,000 that he could put towards,
Excellent. Okay, then, I'm gonna hold this, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. So, Lean, if you just, make sure that, it's in his budget, so
yep,
he
I'll
knows that.
communicate that to him.
Okay,
We went too fast, Mike.
I tell you, we're going too fast. All right,
Want to do any mailbox?
I'm gonna do one mailbox item. This is, just for our town employees, Lean sent out a memorandum, for outstanding annual vacation, leave and compensation time. As you recall, if, vacation is not used by the end of the year, they can come to the, by November 29th, they can let us know, and they can come before the board as an exception of policy, and we can, carry the leave over as an exception of policy to the next calendar year.
That's if the board decides
If
that.
the board decides it. Compensation time, as we previously agreed, will not be carried over and will be paid in cash, at the end of the year. And Lean just sent out a notification reminding all departments and by individual of the leave balances, so Lean, thank you for that.
Yep.
One more item in the mailbox, this is, Acting Chief, I just wanna make sure you're aware of that. The Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts are on a food program again, and one of the things they do, they distribute flyers to residents' homes.
Okay.
And this is setting up collection points, and this basically tells what will happen on November 3rd. And it's just a FYI for us, but I just wanna make sure you're aware of that.
Sure.
I'll forward you the email.
Okay, great,
That would be easier.
Because, you know, why are these people coming to my home for?
Which scouts are they, would you just mention that?
It's essentially, it's scouting food coordinator for Dunbarton Bow. It's a Cub Scout pack, and there's no number on here, but.
Oh, you didn't put the number?
No.
Okay.
But it's a Bow Dunbarton
Right.
groups. but I think you should be aware of that, the officers.
Appreciate that.
And I think we can go ahead with the public hearing now. Yes, okay.
7:15.
All right, so being 7:15, we'll continue, we're gonna just initiate the public hearing on the Purgatory Pond Road. We had a historical review. All conditions have been met.
Just a couple more notes on that, Mike.
Okay, please, go ahead.
Did you open the public hearing?
Yes,
In reference to Purgatory Pond Road, it will now be a class 5 dirt road that will be maintained by the town after its approval. It was previously only maintained occasionally by the town, but not very often. And it was upgraded by one of the owners that lives on the road.
okay. And since all the specifications have been met, I just wanna ask the road agent, do you have any other outstanding concerns?
No,
Thank you.
beautiful,
I'm sorry,
wonderful job.
concurred. Board members, do you have any other concerns?
You know, I took a ride down too, and I have to say, excellent road, and my brother's sitting in the corner there, and he'll tell you that, because I don't see anybody in here, that probably used that pond as we did in the early 50s, when it was a cow path from Armin Odette's field, where his cows traveled down to the pond. And then the state Fish and Game decided they were gonna put a road in there by petition. And we thought that was great. It was a lot better. It was a lot easier to walk, and now the road you have is I gotta say, is, you know, for the people that like to fish, there's room to park on the road, you know, when you're ice fishing or whatever, and
And town,
still a popular place for some of us.
for town vehicles, for safety, lots of room to turn around, fire department get down there, police department, with no issues at all.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna open up the public comment on the acceptance of Purgatory Pond Road. Are there any comments from the public?
Yeah, I'd like to make a few. Brian Odell,
Okay.
Purgatory Pond Road, if I could. A couple of things, looking at it, and after talking with the chief and the sergeant, by RSA's, the speed limit is by default 35 miles an hour unless otherwise voted on. And I would appreciate it if the Board of Selectmen could take a vote as to whether to knock it to 25 miles per hour, which is the lowest enforceable speed limit as I understand it. Just the only reason is it's not gonna affect what they travel on the road, but there's a lot of pedestrians, horses, dogs, and locals with kids on bicycles and so on, that at least if it was posted, I would put the sign up, that it would maybe help slow things down a little bit.
Okay, I would ask, comment from the acting police chief.
I think 25 miles an hour would be a prudent speed limit for the road for all of the reasons Mr. Noble just said.
I'm gonna say road agent, any comments?
Oh, I think it's fine.
Okay. Fire chief, any comments?
Still too fast.
Still too fast, okay.
25.
I know.
Is that something we wanna do at this meeting?
Yes, I have no problem doing this meeting.
Is that something that we said as selectmen?
I believe we can set this up.
I'm not 100% sure, but I would say
I
go
think
ahead
that's what I
and
just read the last couple of weeks, that the selectmen set the speed.
speed, yeah, well, if you wanna make a motion, I will confirm that, how's that
Okay.
sound?
We will, after the public hearing, we'll make that motion, probably vote on it there.
Okay.
I think we have consensus already.
Nice. And then there's one other request, if you would. One of the initial meetings on the road, it was with Selectmen Hammond, Wanner, and Pike, I believe.
I have those meeting minutes in front of me.
We did a site walk, and Mr. Hammond asked, what are you gonna call it when you're done? And I was kinda taken back a little, but he said, oh yeah, if you present the road, you have the right to name it. So I just wanna float an idea out there. And it doesn't matter to me, you can vote on it and vote it down. But we have Ordway up the street, and we have Armin's Way down the street. I'd love to rename it to Nodal's Way. I didn't mean to shock it.
Let's face it.
You want us to accept this road?
Looking into it too, the documents that you're signing and have in front of you are correct, because the name has not been changed. The only thing that would change is I would have to get a new sign, get 911 on board, whatever that process is,
John.
and then post office obviously, and they'll honor the old name for 1 year, and then it's up to the individuals, which is us and Gibson's, to just change the address, and it's done.
I wonder if the Gibsons had any issue with that.
Well, I was gonna just go out on a limb here and, don't shoot at me. But, I like the fact that it states Purgatory Pond, even though more people find it than I want to find it. But we have Long Pond, that's Long Pond, we have Kimball Pond, that's for Kimball Pond, we have, Gorham Pond Road, so I think around 5 major ponds in town, we have roads kind of named that go with the ponds, and myself as a resident, I kinda like it that way, rather than somebody's name, but that's just my own personal opinion, not as a selectman, but as a resident.
Well,
We have the public here
Yeah.
too, and might wanna weigh in.
oh yeah. Go ahead, Lou.
Yeah, I agree with Dave. I grew up with that pond, since I was a little boy fishing, it's always been Purgatory Pond. When they put the road in, eventually they named it Purgatory Pond Road. And being on the Historical Awareness Committee, to me, it has historical significance also. So not to, Ordway Road's an old road, Armin's Way is a new road, so they put that in there and everything. And again, I can appreciate where Mr. Norton's coming from, because he put a lot of time and money into that road. It's just that I could live with it being Purgatory Pond Road.
Any other public comment?
What's your road number now?
Ours 36,
36?
Gibson's are 14.
I'd just say, if you do change it, we should check the distance and make sure it falls under the new guidelines for 911
Okay.
by distance. I'm not sure what the distance of the road is. What's the total length of the road?
1,800 feet.
1,800 feet.
Okay. Yes, sir.
But you're gonna have a parking area there, why don't you name the parking area Ordway Parking or name each of us.
No parking. That sounds
It's not
considered.
really there's not really a parking area there.
Just a turnaround,
Turnaround.
Norton turnaround.
You might think there's some turtles going around there or something.
Might.
Any other public comment?
We don't need to change them.
You have
Okay,
to change the
Number's
numbers.
right.
There's only the two of
Somebody
us.
figured it out right.
Okay, I'll bring it back to the board, here no further public comment. Now, gentlemen, I heard Dave, Bob.
Well, and again, because I'm on the Historical Awareness Committee too, and I know, and then we had people come in, besides us trying to label things the way they were, or the way they are and not labeled, and we've had people come in and want to change the name of Guinea Road. And Guinea Road has a historical significance, so I'm not downplaying the value of what Mr. Nordell invested, but and as far as I know, growing up, and maybe I got a few more years than some people here, but it's always been Purgatory Pond Road, as far as we knew it. Before that, it was a cow path, but it's always been known as Purgatory Pond. When they put the road in, that would have been 64, 65, in that area. It's been Purgatory Pond Road since then, so. And it references the pond that's there,
Just reading back through the previous minutes of that meeting, said Les Hammond asked if the road name change was necessary. Brian Nordell stated it should remain Purgatory Pond Road.
He's subject to change opinion too.
Exactly.
That money changes your mind a little.
Actually, when you just look at the legal part of it, which I did, he was right that we do have the purview to change the name of the road
Yeah.
at this hearing, so that's all, I just brought it up.
Does Fish or Game have any?
Fish and Game has a number for that project, and they have no interest in any name, nor parking, or any, the funding for the public access has not been visited. So they really feel that for the size of the pond, the amount of attention, if you would, that it has is good enough for the size of that pond.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm more ambivalent, but the thing is, I'm gonna yield to you two gentlemen for your opinion. So the thing is, I think that the board is in consensus that there'd be no name change at this point.
Sure.
But it was glad you brought it up, and I do respect that. Okay, it's back to the board, and so I think we can make a motion.
I just wanna see, does anybody in the public wanna see a copy of the plan of the layout of the road?
It's available for preview if you wanna take a peek at it.
Let's get a nice turnaround at the end, it's gonna help Jeff in his plowing, and the road's plenty wide to be winged back, and safety for the fire department getting in and out of there. It's a great job, and I appreciate you working with our town inspectors to inspect the road and
The engineers.
engineers.
Yep.
So it seemed to go off very well.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion. How complicated does the motion have to be?
A motion?
Yeah,
I would say just,
just as it's written.
accept the road, Purgatory Pond, approximately, what did I have on the public notice? Somebody has my folder over there.
Here's the folder, Wayne. Did you do
It's on the notice that there's so many feet,
Use those.
and it's the big newspaper thing, you'll see it. Towards the back, maybe. You want me to flip through it?
Yeah, please. I can spend 10 minutes going through that.
That's the view. Maybe it's in here, Lee, let me look for you. These, I think, are all the plans.
Should be a newspaper.
I think you can probably go on the agenda as well.
Okay, make it simple.
Look at the agenda.
And
You know what, why don't you give me the plan date here off the final plan? And I'll reference that date. Is this the final signed plan?
And it's by, yep, this is signed and this is signed as well. That's the easement and this is the, as-built. Prepared for Brian Nordell as,
What's the date and the plan number?
signed, 10/17/18. Is that what you want?
Yep.
Yeah. And does it have a plan number?
No, we won't until we record it.
I'll make a motion to accept Purgatory Pond Road as a class 5 town road dirt, per plan dated 10/17/18,
Can I ask you to include approximately 1955 feet?
approximately 1,955 feet long, with a turnaround and an easement for that turnaround for the town of Dunbarton.
Second.
Any further discussion on the, hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. You have a new road. We have a new road.
You have a new,
Yes, we have a new road. Hey Jeff, you get another road to plow.
So, the last piece to this is we have a permanent easement that has been
This with it.
approved by the board and the Nordells that, the board should sign. And we have 2 copies here. And then before it officially becomes a class 5, we need to have it recorded. So I'll have one final check that I'll have,
You read one of
in
them.
detail what you have to pay.
Yep.
We can get this to the registry hopefully in the next few days.
Awesome. Before the nor'easter Saturday.
Snow
Saturday. Sorry, Jeff.
Hey, it was flurries this afternoon.
Yeah. It's all rain, Jeff, so you don't have to worry.
It's coming.
Tuesday afternoon.
We did. We did.
That was crazy.
Jesus. Crazy.
We thought it was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of houses, you know, it's a different animal.
We will have snow.
Sure.
Also not close down.
We're gonna take that somewhere, Wayne.
Yep.
Nice stuff.
Date it for all of us.
Yeah.
One more signature tape. Thank you for the hard work you did.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, I think as I recall, you came in almost a year ago? Was it the spring?
2.5.
Yeah, but I remember, no, but when you came in, we reviewed all the,
Yeah.
and you were just said time to get working on it,
Yeah, or almost 2 years, yeah.
so.
So we're glad it's the same board.
Yeah.
Been through 3 of them.
Yeah.
So again, thank you for being here and
Thank
presenting.
you guys.
Okay.
Can
All
I
right,
get you to sign these and I'll notarize it?
before we start the next subject, give them a moment to do the signatures and then we'll move on to the next subject. And just, let's, I remember you're up next.
Do you want a notarized copy as well?
Yeah.
That's, yeah, and then I'll go get my stamp.
Mike,
Yes,
I'd just like to say that we'd like to invite the Board of Selectmen to come hand out candy with us, Halloween. Your costumes are great that you got right now, it'll be real scary.
it's gotta be 2 for 1. 2 for me, 1 for them. Thank you.
I just wanna see Dave go out on a limb.
You'll find it.
We have to have some humor,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
We're always picking on Mike.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Chuck,
You get 2 points on it.
Almost way it, nice
Don't worry.
It was worth a
Then we take it back.
Remember when Russ said?
Yeah.
He's good thinking about it.
Okay, Sergeant Romanov, come on up, or... Oh, okay, with all documents being signed, I'm gonna close public hearing, and Lean, I'll leave it to you to finish up the filing, and the fees to be collected for the filing. Public hearing's closed. Okay, Sergeant Romanov, continue with his regular town meeting, regular, select board meeting. You're up.
I've been working on the long-term transportation plan application for the 2021 to 2030 timeframe with Central New Hampshire Regional Planning to address the concerns at Page's Corner. And I've spoken with Dean Williams, one of their transportation planners, and the way he explained it to me is that this process is for long-term, fairly significant infrastructure changes to the intersection. My only holdup at this point is Dean wants a copy of the informal road safety audit that the DOT is working on. Those would be more short-term projects that we could coordinate with the DOT to implement, but he wants that as a supplemental document to the long-term application. The other thing that the road safety audit paperwork might contain is cost estimates for a roundabout and or turning lanes being constructed at the intersection. If the road safety audit doesn't have those cost estimates, Central New Hampshire Regional Planning has an on-call engineer that can provide some cost estimates for the application process. But everything is done. I'm just waiting on the cost estimates and the road safety audit. And certainly once all that material is done, I'll email it to the board so you have a copy as well.
And we forwarded you some paperwork last week as well, right?
Yeah, that's what exactly was working on.
Yep.
The key date is November 30th.
Yes.
And so the thing is, I would not wait till that last date, but the thing is, New Hampshire DOT is gonna come deliver something quickly, not the 29th.
I emailed him on Monday or Tuesday, and he's out of the office until tomorrow. But Dean spoke with him, and
So
he
they're-
made it sound as though that road safety audit was gonna be completed sometime this week. So I think the board hopefully be expecting something either, by tomorrow, if not early next week. As soon as I get it, I'm gonna drive everything over to regional planning and drop it off. I have everything burned to a disk. All of the crash data, all of the traffic turn movements, the application itself, Google Earth imagery of the intersection, circumference, all the stuff that they need to supplement the application. So right now, I'm just waiting for the DOT, and hopefully they'll get us that.
Do you know off
material.
the top of your head how many fatal accidents have happened in that area, or?
Off the top of my head, one, but I'll defer to Jeff and the chief, because they've been in town a lot longer than I have.
Yeah.
We had the one last, 2017, but
Yeah,
I believe there's been some others, chief.
We had one just down a little ways from there, but in that intersection I've been to, there's a lot of accidents, serious, but not fatal.
and, how many would you think that we go to a year there?
They gave you the numbers the other day.
It's probably, in the general area of the intersection, I'd say probably between maybe 10 or 15, somewhere in that ballpark. But what's even more staggering is the amount of traffic citations that we issue at that intersection for people rolling the stop sign or flat out running the stop sign. Officer Gorman, one of our part-time officers, he'll sit up there and he'll clock people going through the stop sign at 50 miles an hour. Just blowing right through it.
Yeah, you
So-
see it almost every day when you come up to that intersection, you're coming up that hill fast.
Yep. And I want to check with the board as far as the application goes and ask for a contact person. Are you okay if I put my information, or would you prefer someone else?
I think your information is fine.
Okay.
But what's come and go, you're here for the duration, I hope.
Okay, thank you. So I'll get all that information to the board once it's finalized.
Okay, great, thank you for the update.
Sure.
Anything else?
The fire department is hosting a Stop the Bleed class on November 13th at 5:30 in the elementary school library. It's something we partner up with them. We did back in March. It's a great program. It's completely free. We've posted it through our usual channels, but just to make the board aware that public event is
What was
coming
the
up.
date again?
It's November 13th.
It is on the Hot Topics homepage of the
That's in the
website.
auditorium,
It's gonna be right in the library.
library.
Yep. And then something new and exciting, I've teamed up with Mary over at the library, and we're gonna craft our own fraud awareness and prevention class for town residents. That's gonna be on December 18th at 6 o'clock in the town library. Mary hosted AARP earlier this year to do a fraud and scam awareness class. We initially reached out to them to see if they'd be willing to come back to do a second round, but we haven't heard back. So we've been emailing back and forth, and we kind of decided, hey, let's just put together a presentation specific to Dunbarton. What do our residents see for common scams and frauds? What do we at the police department see a lot? How can people protect their identity? What they should do if they fall victim to a scam? So I'm hoping it'll be well attended. We handle those calls very frequently, so I'm hoping there'll be a good turnout.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
That's enough, thank you, that's
Appreciate
great.
it. Thank you.
Continue on the agenda. We have to have a strategy meeting, we have to set a date for the 2019 budget.
Yeah, what I'd like from the board is I'd like to give the departments, advance notice of when you'll be discussing your strategy meeting. That way they can plan accordingly and get here for that.
As you recall, last year we did it during a select board meeting,
Yep.
in November, so we can do the same this year. I was gonna say the 8th as a proposal, too late.
I think earlier would be fine.
Okay, so you wanna do the first then, next week?
Is that too early?
What do we have on the agenda next week?
Well, we have the,
Is next week too early to come in and hear about their strategy?
The only thing,
Get a
only thing is I'd like to have it, if it was the 8th, we could talk about how, other impacts we're gonna talk about, because we'll have the healthcare, presentation next week,
Okay,
and at least we would be able to share that with everybody, because we'll have a decision by then.
okay, that sounds good.
So, the
I
8th,
think the 8th is, I think it's plenty early, we kinda went through those fairly well last year,
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm expecting the same thing this year.
right.
We make Mike put his notice out.
So
That's good.
November 8th?
8th, yeah.
All right.
That way we can at least, I wanna ascertain, healthcare is a big, major cost in the cost
Okay.
center for the
Yep,
town.
yep.
And we'll have more information on that. Okay, so we, the 8th. We're gonna go immediately to the mailbox. Finish up what we, there was a department meeting summary, put out for the transfer station, meeting put out for information only.
There was a second, section of that.
That would be in the, I would,
You can talk about it in the strategy unless
Yeah.
you wanna.
it's just the CPI for 2009. Bob, I'm gonna let you take the lead on that one.
Yeah, I'll go to the Department of Labor website,
So
So
we'll
we'll
have
do
it.
that next week.
Well,
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
okay.
we don't use the CPI,
we use
and
it.
you don't wanna use it this year.
It
You
was a
guys
rec-
have pretty good rates.
Yeah, it's a recommendation, is how the board has always presented it.
So Bob, I'm gonna ask you to address it next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, continuing, anything else? I think we got it all
No, I
now.
think it is,
Okay. Lean, I have an update on the sign quote. What's the story with that?
That's the cost to have it installed, and then the additional new sign is down below.
Okay. Budget wise, is it enough in the maintenance budget this
Yeah,
year?
I had included that in our subtotal with
Right.
some of the items that I had encumbered, and we were at 22 after that, so I think that the money is still there, and they're looking at, what did they say, early December for installation, and they would provide photos, I think it says in there, they would show us electronic copies of it before they make them.
I'm okay with the installation. Which sign did we need carved?
The small one.
No, actually,
It says carved, but I don't think that's
there's
not
one over here, is that
carved
this,
sign.
is that a new price on the bottom?
It's $11.55 for
That's the
carved
new
sign.
one for the one that's outside here. Two-sided, is that what it says?
Yeah, but I don't think it's carved.
Yeah, it is, yeah. I went out there and took pictures. It's raised, it's
It
the
is?
Dunbarton, welcome to Dunbarton sign, it's, yeah. So that one you hadn't voted on, the other three
We did.
Yeah.
you did,
And the installation we hadn't voted on.
Right.
correct.
I'd like to make a proposal, we accept this sign package as delineated for the amount of, Bob's got it.
It's, hang on a second. Now, both of these are separate totals, correct?
Looks like it.
Oh, they got the total anyways,
Mhm.
37.55.
But we already did that, we just need the installation. We already
Installation
approved
and the second sign.
it. Yeah, so the
11.
second, the yellow highlighted area as well.
That's right, well, right here,
Yeah.
11.85,
Yeah, for
11,
for the fourth
Installation.
sign,
that's
and
the
then
installation,
installation
yeah.
for all of
so
them.
just installation and just the fourth sign.
So you got 37.35 is what they have here for a total.
Yeah, that's for the three that you already approved.
Yeah, we already approved those.
Then we
amounts.
added another one, and then
Okay.
we wanted an installation price.
Okay, so you want this one added into this,
Correct.
okay?
Yeah, or just read them as two separate things, one new sign, Bob with that amount. and then-
Well, the signs you had before, the three signs and the installation were 37.55, and then you have an additional total for the other sign of $1,155.
So my motion stands with those numbers. I need a second.
I'll second your motion.
49.10.
Okay, all in favor, oh, any
Aye.
further discussion? I don't think so.
All set, it's 49.10.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, we approved all the other signs.
Right, the
already,
thing is,
so just looking for the new
Just for
one.
just before installs, and when will we have the photos?
As soon as I get them, I can forward them,
Okay.
I can blast them out.
Just send them out an email, so if we have any concerns on photos, we can readdress at the meeting. I like to have them see the photos before they're officially cut.
See, it says note, full color detailed drawings supplied before production, so I'll make sure I get those, so you can look at
It's
it.
like a proof, I just don't wanna have them
Yep.
make it, and then we're stuck with a sign that doesn't work or a misspelling.
Well, more to the font and everything.
Exactly, all the above. So we'll have just a review of this, the specifications before the
Okay,
cut. Okay. I think that's That's all in my mailbox. No, we have a few more things, so let me go through them.
Can you address the one that's the roof, so
I'm
that
gonna do
John
that.
can talk on it, he was able to come in, and
Okay.
maybe you can answer some questions for us.
If you recall, there was a issue with the new building at the safety center with the addition they put next to it was leaking, and around the antenna, they were thinking of making a cricket to keep it from the ice jams from forming around that. And Chief, I'm gonna let you take it from there. We had a builder come out and look at it.
Okay,
And Lean said that what did Lean say?
I read through it, his note said that we should have 12-inch insulation in there, and I followed your note back where that building wasn't designed to have that additional insulation in there and keep the weight of the snow on the roof for a long period of time. So the insulation had been taken out in the past so that it would melt quicker and it would relieve the weight
okay, so let me just,
on the.
I met with him at the, fire station, and John pointed out to me, cause he wasn't available to be there at that time, that he showed me where the leak was. The leak, on the sheetrock is directly over our the electrical panel. That's a definite, problem.
Safety for hazard.
And that actually is at the point where the two buildings meet, and that is what they've been trying to resolve for,
Yeah, he
number
was
of
pretty
years.
clear when he said
and
last
then
time
his,
told us
when
that.
he mentioned it to you a couple weeks ago, he also said that the snow that slides off the main part of the building builds up behind the, antenna, and,
Leaks in around the window. That's the only one that's an ice built up.
right,
But this guy told Lean, if I'm understanding, he said the insulation's gonna help the problem, which I don't believe it is. No insulation was taken down to relieve the problem. That, there's always been a small layer on the roof, but you can't add to that because, it has to melt the ice to slide. Where the two buildings meet is where the issue is. Ice comes down from both roofs, builds up, and then if it doesn't slide, then it starts leaking. So trying to hold that ice back doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
He said, slow down the slide. Well,
Right,
slow down
he's-
the slide,
yeah, he's saying slow down the slide by insulating the area that's over the trucks, that the insulation's been pulled away from, because you have one side of the building is insulated, one side that's not.
basically, yeah.
The equally insulated, that's what's causing the melting and, but my understanding from what John and I, after the conversation, it's not rated for the snow load that, so the roofer wants us to melt the snow slower. John says you have to melt the snow faster because it's not rated for the proper snow load.
It's naturally gonna slide. I mean, the issue is where the two buildings meet, it leaks. Now, there's gotta be somebody that can repair that. It leaks, it's gonna leak Saturday when it rains. It leaks on a rainy day. So
Okay,
it doesn't always leak when there's ice built up there.
Yeah.
So there's an issue where the two buildings meet.
Can we get a second opinion maybe?
yeah, I'm gonna have to, I called this guy because he's doing
Other
outside.
people, one guy
Lean,
attempted to fix it.
Do you think a fix would be like a rubber membrane in the valley that would?
Lean, I'm gonna give you a
There's gotta be
suggestion.
someone that can repair
Call
that.
Melanson Roofing or Therian Roofing in Manchester. The commercial roofing company that's used to doing like a rubber roof or.
Okay,
metal-
Melanson Roofing, and the other one is?
Therian Roofing. It's not gonna be a residential builder that's gonna fix that
Okay,
type of
and they're
roof.
commercial, okay.
I think a second opinion is warranted at this point.
Like I
So
said,
try those two, Lean, and I think they're prepared to work on a building like he has there.
Okay,
We've tried heat tape in the past, there's some wire up there, you notice that's hanging, it just gets ripped
How
off
much,
with
how
the
much is
slide.
the safety issue right now, the electrical panel being as close to the leak as it is right now?
It's not a high risk at this point.
Okay,
Because normally it doesn't leak onto it, even though the stain's above it.
yeah,
When it leaks, it comes out a little bit, hits the floor down here, but misses the panel, but who knows if Cindy's running behind it.
I think, I
It's
like,
just a sub panel to, it's not the main electrical
All right,
panel,
good.
it's a small sub panel that feeds, some of the newer addition and some fixtures.
I like the idea of getting, Dave's idea of getting commercial roofers out there, take a look at it.
Okay.
And I think we'll go with that.
Yeah.
And we'll
I mean,
revisit it.
somebody gotta be able to fix the problem.
Amen.
But
Yeah.
in the winter, ice hangs up in that valley. If it's a cold spell after a big snowstorm, and it does leak at that point also. When that snow is in that valley, the ice is in that valley, it'll leak. The antenna issue is the same thing. It slides, hits the antenna, and then hangs up, and then it backs up under and comes in around one of the windows.
So
The rest of the roof, the whole building, two buildings, when the ice slides after storm normally, there's no issue.
Okay.
Other than it comes around, hits the side.
I mean, it might be an
That's another
area building that needs a rubber roof or something to that effect where they meet there, so those guys will have options.
Yeah, there's gotta be, like I said, it's obvious, you can see where it comes up this roof where they met, you know, there is a, you know, you have a little bit of the wall of the main building and this roof, and water obviously somehow gets in that seam, or that seam's cracked, or some
It
reason.
sounds like a flashing issue.
Yeah,
Might very well be, or you
Yeah.
might need to extend the fire department roof, or the main building roof, a couple of feet,
Further.
and get that ice on.
And you know, his recommendations on a normal building would be correct,
Yeah.
but not on that type of a building, especially with that age, so.
do
Exactly.
you think, or you guys are recommending a cricket, would a false dormer be better over by the,
Well, I would like to see the recommendations of the
Okay.
skilled professionals.
okay, all right.
Yeah,
I mean,
some kind of a deflector, I'm not,
Yeah,
if
I
you're
wonder
calling
if
it a cricket, or you call
Dormer,
Yeah.
dome or whatever,
Right.
there's gotta be a deflector that can just, you know, deflect it away from the antenna.
let's get that, hopefully
We'll try
sooner
it
than
again.
later.
Yeah,
We still have, it's not gonna be this cold forever and for the next
No.
couple of weeks. We may be able to get some roof.
Yeah, and, you know, obviously the antenna is a nice issue, but the other issue is a seasonal thing, it's even on a heavy rain, so it's not.
How long has this been going on, just out of curiosity?
Oh, couple of years.
So if we lasted to the springtime, we could almost make it to the springtime, but knowing that we have to get it done.
I'll call them tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess, but obviously it should be fixed.
No, but the thing is, I'm just concerned about getting the contractor this late in the season to get out there and do it. I'm just timing, I just
But
wanna
the
make sure.
more, at least, you know, the sheet rock's already been replaced once, when Cal Parker was the building inspector, and did the work for the town, he replaced a lot of sheet rock in there,
Gotcha.
because, you know, and obviously the more it gets wet, the more damage
Well-
gonna do to the sheet rock.
We'll get these, we'll make it a priority for work to be done.
Yeah, I can't believe it'd be that expensive to fix, really.
Lean, when you're in that section, I mean, the commercial roofers, there's many more than that, it's just ones that come off the top
Okay.
of my head.
Okay, commercial though is what
Yeah.
I'm, cause I did look it up and that's when I found that the guy who's doing the siding does roofing too and,
Yeah, commercial and
Pumps.
rubber roof.
The guy from Manchester, what's his name, Kenny, not Kenny,
Kenny Roofing.
huh?
Kenny Roofing.
Kenny?
Okay, Kenny.
He came out and fixed the ridge at one point, because water was blowing under the ridge on a real windy, rainy storm, would leak around the ridge, and he came out and corrected that problem, that was a few years ago.
Alright, well, we
I'm
may
not
consider
sure
him
if
too.
he addressed this other or not, I don't believe he did.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
alright.
Alright, I wanna continue with the inbox, and then we're gonna start going to non-public tonight. I have this is from the town, we have the monthly report from the town building and planning and zoning. Just, I thought it was interesting that the industrial communications has started their work on the expansion of their
Antenna.
antenna, which is good.
Just for the public, Mike Cummings, our building inspector and health officer, gives us an update of the bigger projects in town and where they're at, so we kinda have an idea as a board and as a town how those are all coming along.
Yep, that's great. And there's also this is to the Board of Selectmen, this is a refund, I think,
It's a recommendation,
and we need to vote on this one.
yeah.
I've read this
Yeah.
earlier, and
It's just
this is an applicant that has applied for a building permit on a house on November 22nd of 2017. They had a disagreement or lost their builder and were hoping to get a new builder. They have not lined up a builder to build on that lot, and they think it might be a while longer before they do that, so they're asking for a refund. And Donna White, because of all of our administrative work so far, has suggested that we keep the administrative fees of $110 back out of the refund, and I'm in agreement with that. So the square footage refund would be $1,315.90, and I'm recommending the board that we give that portion of the permit back.
you make that into a motion, we can make act on it.
I'll make that a motion.
Second? I'll second that.
Okay.
And any further discussion on this? I thought Donna, the way she presented this was well written.
Yeah, it was very nice to have the background and all the information attached.
Okay, all in favor of this partial refund? Tell Donna that can happen.
We'll process it next week for accounts payable.
Yep. Bob, this is an update, just to let you know, if you recall, we've been talking about bad check, issues with, people paying for registration fees, for example, with bad checks. The detective is working on it with the town clerk right now. We should have something within a week. It's still a work in progress. Is it?
You know, I guess, I mean, I don't understand what there is to work on. If somebody paid me $1,400 over 2 years' time, and they bounced both times,
No, I think that person was just out of the office, that's why it's just taking a little longer.
We don't have any action item.
That's just because they were on vacation or something,
Okay.
they were out of the office. So they are working right towards getting that done.
Yeah, absolutely, and so it's not gonna sit around for sure, we already talked about that. All right, then I'm gonna open up for public comment one more time before I close the public session.
Yep.
Any scheduled date to clean that town pound?
Not yet, but I drove by it the other day thinking we should schedule a date because
Before the
winter's
snow falls?
closing in on us. Let's look at the calendar, because we have a fresh November calendar in front of us.
Yeah.
Line up your hog leaves.
I would say it's gonna be a weekend. You know what I'll do? I'll jot it down and try and get a consensus of the date that would be good. I'd like to try and do it in November if we could, before the weather changes on us here,
Well,
so.
if I'm able and available, I don't mind helping.
Yeah.
you know.
Why don't we just put that on agenda for next week, discussion next week, can we reach out to the
Okay.
Hog Reeves?
Yep.
Get a coordination, thank you for bringing that up. John, anything?
Also,
Chief, any last items?
why are you calling Sergeant Remillard acting chief? He's
The chief was out,
On vacation.
He's acting like it.
just on vacation.
Yes. Yeah, he's out for, till next Monday.
Yeah, we actually signed him to do that while he was gone, out of town.
give him a
I
little credit.
normally am informed of that, so I just.
Oh, he didn't say, well, we got a letter from Dan saying that he would be acting in his behalf, but he didn't give you one?
We'll make
Good
sure,
department communication, huh?
I was just curious, it's sometimes on long-term things.
no, it's
Oh,
just,
no,
short term.
Just through
John,
next
we'll
Monday
make
he'll
sure
be
that
back.
if they give us another one,
Yeah.
we'll CC you on it, okay?
Yeah,
No, I just,
We'll try and do it the week before it happens.
Sometimes we do
Call the
communicate.
chief
I
and
get
get
two
hold on.
items.
Yeah, I hate
Hang
to
on.
bother myself,
Hang
but
on, go ahead.
Wayne, the hospital better.
Two items,
Yeah.
highway department related. The first is I was away for a little while, and when I came back, I was pleasantly surprised to see our highway garage was all painted. It looks wonderful. It's
Good to
really
hear.
nice to have that coat of paint on there, it makes it look
Stain.
thanks.
stained. Correct, that's right, stained. It makes it look so nice. And
I-
all those imperfect boards went away.
I did a walkabout,
Yeah.
I thought it looked very good too.
No, I think it was great, I think we got what needed to be done.
And,
So-
just since you're here, I wanna say thank you for delivering that fill material.
Yeah, that was the other thing,
Okay.
we've taken care of that.
I asked
Bill issue, Mike Guiney, the guys running it. Bill.
I asked Lean, she's gonna make a follow-up email,
Yep.
to let the, parties be aware of that.
We took
Okay.
care of that because
Yeah.
we're working in
I already
the
did.
school, the
It's already
parking
done.
lot
Yeah.
behind the fire station / police station
Okay,
/ school. So, that's it, that's all I got.
thank you, sir. Okay. Bring it back to the board, and at this point, I'd like to make a motion, we go into non-public for RSA 91 alpha, colon 3, Roman 2, paragraph C. Kaminsky, yes.
Raquel, yes.
We're adjourned for a minute to, continue.